Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my co-owner and commentary, Ashton, and this is our Lucha Underground review. The mid-season finale, because we are halfway through season 4. This was episode 11. Last, what was it called again? Last Man or Machine Standing. I wanted to get that right. I wanted to say Luchador. This was, personally for me, one of the high points of the season. This really felt like Lucha Underground. We've all been kind of saying, it's been good, but I think it's missing that little extra something. I feel like this episode packed that little extra something. We had some great cinematics, some fun matches sprinkled in, an all-around fun hour of television. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Ashton, what did you think about it?
Yeah, I'm going to say pretty confidently that this was my favorite episode of Lucha Underground Season 4 so far. I know we've got another 11 to go, and I'm hoping that they just keep getting better, or at the very least maintain the momentum that they built in this episode, because this is a fun episode. We had 3 matches. One of them was a quicker match. The other 2 were great hardcore style matches. I enjoyed all 3 of them to one degree or another. And then we also had a couple cinematics that were fun. I really thought that this was, like you said, this felt more like the Lucha Underground that we've grown to love and enjoy more than any other episode of the season so far.
Absolutely. So, brother, with that said, unless you have any other preliminary remarks to make, let's just dive right into this.
All right, man. Well, we opened up. I want to say, actually, you know what? Do you remember? I think, didn't we open up with Azteca?
We did. Azteca and Santos. That's cinematic.
Yeah, that's right. So Azteca basically just kind of consoles Melissa and gives her the one half of the amulet that Katrina originally gave her a few weeks ago. So kind of puts that around her neck. And, it's like a healing thing where she admits to missing Phoenix more and more every day. And he just basically says, shoulder to cry on kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you and I both said in live reactions, couldn't really catch everything Azteca said here, but the tone and the delivery definitely seemed like he was coming on to Melissa a little bit. So you got to wonder if he's going to be in 2 stories at once, because, his primary narrative is as Gift of the Gods champion, successfully defending the gold, or trying to anyway, up until Ultima Lucha Cuatro, which now that we know we're halfway through the season, Azteca's halfway there. And he didn't even have a defense this week, so we got a little bit of a reprieve. I don't know. I still don't think he'll do it. But then knowing that he's got this association with Melissa, and where did he even get that half of the amulet anyway? You know what I mean? To give it back to her. That I found to be a little weird. But maybe it was just a good guy being a good guy. Either way, it does remind us that Melissa is in mourning, that piece of the amulet was given to her originally by Katrina. Now it's found its way back to her. And we got more developments as it relates to Melissa and Katrina, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. Ashley, is there anything else you want to say about the cinematic?
No, I don't have anything else to add. I guess we can move on. Our first match of the night is the haunted house match between Mil Muertes and the Mac. Before we actually get to that match, we do see Famous B at ringside, which ends up being quite convenient because of what happens before this match starts. We get the announcement of the 2 names from Melissa Santos, but she doesn't mention, accompanied by Katrina for Mil, and Katrina takes umbrage with that. She gets pissy about it, gets up in Melissa's face, demands that she introduces her, and all Melissa says is no, but then Katrina attacks her, beats the shit out of her, destroys her with a vase. Katrina, we all even saw in her only match that she's ever been in last season in Ultima Lucha 3, her fighting style is hitting people with heavy or dangerous and damaging things. She used all those Modelo bottles last season. She hits people with things, and that's kind of continuing here when she hits Melissa with the vase.
Which, maybe it's why dirty my hands? Because she is supposed to be this very imposing, beauteous figure, right? So, why dirty my hands? Why sully them with something that an object can do just fine while I keep myself, unstained, if you will? with somebody else's blood or what have you. So in a way, if you really wanted to do the work, I'm sure you could work it back to the character somehow. But yeah, she lays Melissa out. Melissa's out cold.
Just to clarify, I wasn't complaining. I just was observing that kind of seems to be her thing.
Oh, no, of course. And I completely agree. Because, I mean, how often did she hit people with the freaking stone when that was the thing?
Yeah, that's true, too. That's a great point. You're right.
Yeah. So, no, I mean, excellent observation, man. I completely agree. It's just like, yeah, I just imagine her thinking, you know, these nails look really good today, and I'd rather not get blood all over them. So I'm just going to use this. But, yeah, Melissa gets taken out. And, brother, I'm going to let you do the bulk of the review for this match because, first of all, I know Milligan is your #1 guy in Lucha Underground. And I even said in live reactions, and I stand by this, this was the most fun exhibition match for somebody that you could give because I feel like we really got to see the best of Mil Muertes here. So what did you think about this match?
Yeah, I even told you during our live reactions, this might be my favorite match of the season so far. And that's not even necessarily me saying, like, it's a match of the year candidate by any means. I just feel like the matches this season haven't really been on par with a lot of the matches that we've had in previous seasons. Like season 1, immediately out the gate, we got boom, Mundo versus Puma main eventing the first show. That was amazing. I don't remember if it was season 2 or season 3, but one of those seasons we literally opened with Marty, and I think it was season 3 actually. We literally had like the second or third episode of the season, we had the WMD match between Marty and Killshot. That was amazing. Like, I'm kind of used to Underground coming out the gate with a crazy, awesome, either amazing like work rate match, like what I was said earlier about Puma Mundo, or like a crazy hardcore match like what we got 2 of tonight between the Haunted House match and the Last Man or Machine Standing match. And we haven't really gotten anything quite to that level until tonight. As far as I'm concerned, I'm pretty sure I'm going to go and say that so far, and I'm hoping it gets unseated, I really do, but so far, the Haunted House match is my match of the year for Lucha Underground. It's not my match of the year overall because New Japan is just on another fucking level from an in-ring standpoint, but it is definitely my match of the year Lucha Underground-wise so far.
Absolutely, man. I thought this was a shit ton of fun. I like, too, that you couldn't win by escaping the cage because then that made the spot where Mil does Reaper's Tridents to Mac to where he falls out to the floor, which the cage wall had a hard time bursting as it was. But that made it seem a little less, face-palmy because when you see that in any other promotion and then the person wins but they're like incapacitated, it's like, oh, my God, what the hell? But this was settled, via pinfall or submission. Mac, I feel like, didn't get totally bitched out, even though I would argue that the offense in this match was like 90 to 95% Mil Muertes, because the offense that Mac did get, Mil just ate. Like, he even ate 3 stunners here and, just seemed to pop right back up when Mac was going to the top rope, because he did 3 stunners. He set Mil up on a table, and then he was going to the top to do something. Either it was like going to be a splash or a frog splash or something. Mil just pops right back up, sits up, punches Mac in the face, climbs up, and does an avalanche flatliner, which is fucking sick because he spikes Mac right on the head through the table, and you could count to 1,000. I mean, that was it, which is appropriate because Mil is the man of 1,000 deaths, mind you. So after the match, when there's just the broken debris of, table and pumpkins and Mac's pride, Mil invites Katrina to do the lick of death. She once again refuses. So here's where we're at, Ashton, in my mind, now that this match is over with. Melissa, as we already talked about, incapacitated. She's going to be coming for revenge. Like, she's still very much, like, immersed in sadness and mourning. That's going to turn to anger pretty quick, I have to imagine. You and I both saw the trailer. We know there's a deeper altercation coming. Mac already declared last week his intentions were to get a match with Killshot. He's got to be right back on that track now that he's let Mil get his pound of flesh. And then bringing it back to Mil, I have to imagine that he's going to want to talk to Katrina about her recent behavior. Because this is like the 3rd time I feel like that she's denied him a lick of death. And even like beyond that, she's like walked out on him when he lost that battle royal for Gift of the Gods and stuff like that. It's been strained for a while now, and we still haven't gotten a cinematic to address it. I really hope within the next 2 weeks we get a Mil Katrina cinematic that sees all of this kind of come to the surface. What do you think?
Yeah, man, I'm definitely curious to see where the Mil Katrina story ends up going. It could end up with him, getting physical with her, and you could take that a bunch of different ways too, whether it was kind of her realizing her mortality now that she is no longer stuck between dimensions. It could be her being even more empowered because she has the Phoenix power of 1,000 lives, and that's why she's been at odds with Mill this whole time. There are a lot of different ways you could go with it. I'm most curious about that. But as far as Mac, I'm curious. You said that he made it a goal to go after Killshot. I don't remember him saying that. When did he say that?
He said that last week in the cinematic to Antonio. He said Killshot screwed us out of the trios championship.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You're right. Thank you. I completely forgot about that cinematic. Yeah, you're right, though. And that was when we found out about the Haunted House match in the first place. So, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you made the point of, Mill got his pound of flesh. Like, Mill doesn't usually hold grudges past the ass beating that he delivers. So I'm guessing he's done with Mac now. My questions are, A, what does he move on to? And B, what does Mac move on to if he loses to Killshot, which I'm hoping he does. I'm hoping Killshot wins that. But, if he does lose to Killshot, what's next for the Mac?
You know what, dude? And I'm just saying this. I don't even feel ridiculous saying this because we have ample precedent. I wonder if it's going to because Katrina clearly is not giving a fuck anymore. I think you and I would agree about that. She's walked out on Mill multiple times. She took it to Melissa Santos without a second thought. She feels more empowered than ever. And I think that's also kind of intensified her malice in a way. And what I'm getting at is I wouldn't be surprised if we had a cinematic between Mill and Katrina where it just all comes out. Like Katrina says, oh, I never loved you. I only loved Phoenix. Or maybe I wish I hadn't saved you from that earthquake. Something that really strikes Mill in the heart or lack thereof, because, again, he is a man of death. Mill, I could see him, honestly, with how crazy this season is starting to become, with the killer doll and everything else. I could see him going to Antonio. What if we get an intergender match between Mill and Katrina on an episode of Lucha Underground? What if he wants to put his hands on her in front of all the believers and make a public sacrifice? I could see that happening, personally. I don't know about you. Maybe somebody would make the save, and then that would be Mill's next big feud. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't think it would devolve into that because I don't think that. Oh man, how do I put this? I don't necessarily think that Mill wants to beat Katrina's ass. He just wants her to do what he wants her to do, and right now that's just the lick of death. And even in the past, he's gotten physically threatening, grabbing her by the throat and shit, but he's never really gone further than that. You know what I mean?
But my counter argument to that is, because you're absolutely right, he has a very rigid boundary, but that boundary is only informed by what he believes he knows about Katrina and their relationship. When that knowledge changes, I feel like the boundaries are going to shift. Because he's even said before, when he was going out and beating the shit out of Jeremiah Crane and stuff, oh, I'll do it for you, my love. I still remember that cinematic. But you and I both knew at the time, we knew even long before that, Katrina did not reciprocate those affections because her true love is Phoenix. When Mill finds out that the true love is Phoenix and that he can't kill him twice, because he already won the Grave Consequences match, he's going to want to take it out on somebody. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying, given what we've seen in Lucha Underground and the trajectory of certain things, I would not be surprised if he was so heartbroken and driven to such a violent and aggressive state that he would want to make a public display of punishing her and displaying that cruelty. And maybe somebody would try and stand up to Mill witnessing that, and that would be the next feud, even if it was Phoenix in some weird way. So then the rivalry would take on a whole new dynamic. I don't know. Really what I'm getting at, just to backtrack and to regain some focus, is I see a lot coming to a head in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Because Mill is going to press her on her attitude, and I think, again, that she's kind of lost her filter. She's kind of changed in that way, and she's just going to let him have it. And he's not going to like what it is. So that's really what I
you know what? I agree that he's not going to like what it is, but I also feel like Mill is very kind of juvenile mentally. I feel like if she would really assert herself and talk down to him and really let him have it, oh, you're nothing without me. You I saved you all those years ago, and you're my lapdog, and you do nothing unless I tell you. And now that I'm not going to be with you anymore, you don't going to have a direction. You're not going to know what to do with yourself. You're going to end up dead or whatever. Obviously, she wouldn't actually say you're going to end up dead, but what really undress him verbally. I feel his first reaction, rather than violent, I'm going to beat her ass, would be cower in the corner because of just his relationship with her and his character and his attitude and stuff like that.
That's interesting. I'm curious to know because I can definitely see where you're coming from.
It's like you've got to realize that even though there have been moments where there's been more of like a sexual relationship where they've like made out and shit. She still has like that motherly presence with him, where like she was a full-blown adult when she rescued him, so she effectively raised him in a way.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, now we're really starting to unpack the psychology of this relationship, and it just shows you how intriguing it really is.
That's what I'm saying, though. Like, just based on that, like based on their relationship and how they've been, and you know how they met, and how long they've known each other and all that stuff. I don't think he would get violent with her to the degree of striking her. I think the most he would do is grab her. I mean, we saw like the most we've ever seen him really do is lift her up by the throat. And that's obviously that's a terrible thing that no one should ever do, but he's never gone to the extent of striking her, and I don't think he would.
I'm curious to see which one of us is right. To be honest, after your argument, I could see it being more you, but I'm knowing Lucha Underground again, I never put anything past them. So I think really it is like most options are still on the table. So we'll just have to wait and see. But for now, we know Mac has lost this haunted house match, but he'll probably shake it off because he knows that sooner or later he is going to get his hands on Killshot. Hopefully Killshot wins that match as well. I want to start seeing Killshot like in the main event. I really want to see him in that spot. But that remains to be seen. With that said, I have no more comments about this. Unless you do, we can move on.
All right, man. I guess we can move on. And after the match, we found out the famous B, who was, I already mentioned, conveniently at ringside, was going to be taking over ring announcing duties for the night. And the first match that he gets to announce is, and I quote, "Oh shit," because the first competitor is the one that put him in the wheelchair in the first. The savage Jake Strong taking on Aerostar.
Yeah, dude, I'm going to go first on this one since I let you go first on the last one. I really didn't care for this. I'm grateful for this match in the sense that it really illuminated to me how much I like Aerostar, both in the ring and out. This is a guy that in season one, I remember saying something to the effect of like he was always going to be like a solid undercard player, but I never really saw him in like the main event. And while I still think that's true to a point, that's not for lack of talent or imagination on the writing part. I just feel like that's how they feel his role is right now. And if that role ever changes, like I'd be ready for it. But to see a talent of Aerostar, both, you know, character-wise and ring-wise, pretty much every facet you can conceive of, to see him take the loss to Jake Strong, who I haven't totally given up on because, again, I remember he had a cinematic that we saw a bit of in the trailer. And I want to see that cinematic, and I want this character to have some goddamn context because for me, with Lucha Underground, it's characters first, you know, in-ring performers second, you know, because we always say the narrative is the bread and butter. So unless he has a strong narrative, I was just very mad about this, man. This is a very quick match. I mean, I feel like Aerostar has been in very competitive matches. I mean, him and Drago had a best-of-5 series, and I feel like he lost so quickly to Jake Strong. So I was pretty mad on this, honestly. I feel like they could have had a much better match than this. I get that you have other matches to get to. We had a last Luchador standing match tonight. But, you know, I was just very underwhelmed by this, I'll say, just to kind of put a fine point on it. Any thoughts you want to share about this?
No, man, let's move on. Up next, we had our big second cinematic of the night with Worldwide Underground celebrating the wedding, which will be taking place next week. The ceremony takes place next week, and we found that out in this segment. We've got the gift kind of exchange where, you know, everyone in the Worldwide Underground giving their gifts to the happy married couple, or soon to be in Luchaverse, kayfabe, soon to be married couple. You know, the gift certificate from PJ to Taya for the Slamtown Spa and Resort. Taya gives Johnny a painting of himself as Lucha Underground champion. And Jack Evans gave them, I think, a new set of like Worldwide Underground headbands. But you know, I mentioned Taya gave Johnny the painting of Johnny as the Lucha Underground champion. And that really affected him. That really got to him emotionally because it reminded him that he had his title stolen from him. And Taya tells him that you'll get the title back because after the wedding, he's getting a shot at the championship, whoever the champion happens to be, which after tonight we know will be Pentagon Dark.
Yes. First and foremost, Taya, best wife ever.
I mean, he even said, "You really are the perfect woman."
And he was 100% correct, but then again, it came out of God's mouth, so I never question it. Yeah, that painting was fucking fantastic. I need that in my study immediately. If we can buy a version of that anywhere.
Wait. You have a study?
I call my room affectionately my study because it's littered with books, and it's kind of my workspace. Okay. So I do all my thinking in here, you see. But yes, I need it in my study immediately. It was pristine, worthy of a man of his godlike stature. So I enjoyed the cinematic. Took a really dark turn, though. And I'll talk about the world title match more in the context of the main event. But
well, I actually did want to touch on the main event, the world title match, because what I find interesting and actually a really, really cool sort of narrative piece is that this could effectively be called Johnny Mundo's rematch clause, because he lost the title to Puma, but then Puma lost the title to Pentagon, and Mundo never got a rematch for the title. So here we are.
No, all he got was Aztec Warfare, but as far as one-on-one, you're absolutely right. So it's about time that Antonio Cueto had some justice or a sense of justice and gave Mundo what he so rightfully deserves. So I'm quite happy about it, and I'm sure it'll be a great match. But again, I'll have a bit more to say about it come main event time. But yeah, then we shift tones here in the same cinematic because we have Ricky Mundo standing guard of the proceedings. And then who makes his return but Benji? And Benji really lays into Ricky, says, he's got a gift for Johnny and Taya. And then Ricky says, you're not on the list. And then Benji pretty much goes on a tirade about how he, unlike Ricky, is actually useful. And he helps Johnny and Taya in their careers. And, he helps promote Worldwide Underground as a whole. And pretty much that he's the complete opposite of Ricky because all Ricky does is, bring them down and what have you. So I agreed 1,000% with Benji. He was my muse in this moment. And unfortunately, though, that really didn't last because Benji kept shooting his mouth off. And who chimes in? That accursed fucking doll. Telling Ricky Mundo, don't let him talk to you that way. Show him. Show you how useful you can be. Show him like you showed on Helico. And then at first, Ashton, I got to be honest, my eyes played tricks on me. I thought that Ricky Mundo produced like a pocket knife or a blade.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was too, but it turned out to just be a pen.
I'm glad that I wasn't alone in my misperception. But yeah, so it was a pen. And then he says, what do you think of this? And Benji's like, it's a cool pen. Is this what Johnny Mundo uses to sign all of your autographs? And Ricky Mundo says, not anymore. And, he takes the pen, he just breaks Benji's neck, and then he stabs him over and over until the blood gushes on his face, all the while the doll is laughing in the background. So, this is probably nightmare fuel for a lot of people, Dragon Man X90 in particular. But what did you think about this tonal shift in the cinematic and just these events in general, Ashton?
Yeah, this was definitely on the fucked up side. This was really intense. I mean, we already knew that Ricky and Rosa, I believe that's the name of the doll, at least Rosa. I believe we already knew that was going to get dark, but I didn't know it would get this dark, and B, I didn't realize that it would get dark this quickly. So, yeah, man. I like Benji. I enjoyed his character. I'm going to miss him, but Ricky is, you could say he's a few fries short of a Happy Meal.
On a more detached side, because you already know how I feel as a Worldwide Underground and proud Johnny Mundo stan. I mean, obviously, I want them to win all the time. Fuck Ricky Mundo. He's a cancer that needs to be eradicated, blah, blah, blah. On a more detached perspective, as a general Lucha Underground fan that wants to see new performers, new stories, this and that, I still feel like this Ricky Mundo has potential. I don't even know what we'll be calling him because I'm guessing the Mundo is going to be dropped pretty soon because either Mundo's just going to flat out revoke it, even though he tried before, maybe this time it would stick, or Ricky's going to be like, you know what, I'm better than Mundo, which that's going to make me gasp on whatever live reaction that falls on because I'll have just heard the worst blasphemy I've ever heard in my fucking life. But I do think there's a potential here for a great heel. I mean, he's already murdered, what is it, Ashton, like 2 people so far? And I'm guessing the body count is only going to go up because we heard the tease with Jack Evans, and we know Jack Evans is leaving later in the season. So let's just assume that it's 3. Like, that's a real threat, especially a threat within Worldwide Underground. And since Johnny Mundo is now more of a baby face, or at least a tweener that's a higher percentage of face than heel, I'm very interested in him overcoming that obstacle. And I'll do you one better, because I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but we always have fun on these reviews, with our conjecture and stuff like that. We do know at a point in the trailer that Johnny Mundo does come upon the Gauntlet of the Gods.
Does he?
And he does, remember? Because his eyes.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because there is that moment where we see like his eyes sparkling and stuff.
Yeah. Exactly. And point I was going to make was we know that's not in connection to the Reptile Tribe because that feud is wrapped up. It's in its own separate thing. So I wonder if the threat that Ricky Mundo and the doll Rosa, the threat that they pose is so grave and so imminent that Johnny Mundo has to delve into those kind of powers just to fend it off. I wonder if there's a connection between those, or if that's also a separate story we haven't seen unravel yet, but that's double, though, given that we're already halfway through the season. I doubt they're going to start another story at this point. This is the big story. Ricky is and I'm not even going to say Mundo, and it's not because of that thing, but only because I really do think it's going to be dropped soon. Ricky is the big threat now. Ricky and Rosa are the dangerous tandem that need to be contended with. God, it makes me think. I'd love Johnny Mundo and Taya versus Ricky and Rosa at Ultima Lucha Quattro. That fucking tag match, tagging the doll in. But yeah, I just see the Gauntlet of the Gods. I don't know if it's to deal with Rosa specifically because maybe she's more powerful than she's letting on. If Ricky's become possessed and thus a much stronger entity or what. But I'm just thinking about that scene from the trailer, and I'm thinking about the threat that Ricky's posing, with bodies piling up left and right. But you heard it from me, the Mundo fanatic and, proud Worldwide Underground member. What about you, Ashton? How do you think all this is going to play out?
Oh, God, don't ask me what I think's going to happen. I've stopped trying to predict Lucha Underground for so long now. It's a fruitless endeavor, man.
You're an intelligent human being. Accept the burden of your responsibility.
They're going to do what they want to do, and 9 times out of 10, it's going to be stuff that you and I enjoy. That's my thing.
Well, fair enough. I just wanted to kind of make a connection between us.
Honestly, dude, my biggest curiosity is, we know Jack Evans is going to leave Lucha Underground at some point this season. So, is he just going to up and walk out? Is he going to get killed off? How are they going to handle that? And I also have heard rumors that maybe Angelico will actually have a minor appearance this season, but I don't know how they're going to handle that either. So, yeah, man, it's pretty up in the air as far as I'm concerned. I wonder if Ricky is just going to end up in a feud with PJ, because I feel like Mundo's aspirations are greater than dealing with some bullshit from Ricky. And Taya, I feel like it's most likely that she'll end up in a match with another luchadora at Ultima Lucha Quattro, because lately the Ultima Lucha matches among women have been girl on girl rather than intergender. So it's just, I don't know. I just get this weird feeling that Ricky is going to end up getting paired off with PJ because he's going to kill Jack, and maybe PJ was closest to Jack out of the whole group. I don't know.
Okay, I just want to make 2 points, and then we can either continue the discussion or if you'd want to move on, because I know we do have other stuff to get to. One, another scene from the trailer that is Worldwide Underground related and ties to Rosa directly is I do know there's a cinematic where Taya's in the locker room and she has a hold of Rosa. And that seemed like it got a little weird. So we know Rosa and Taya are going to make contact eventually this season. So that makes me think, again, that Gauntlet of the Gods, it may be just to destroy the doll altogether because it's just that malevolent of a force. Secondly, and on a lighter note, Jack Evans, it would be hilarious to me, especially since you got it stuck in my head to begin with. If we're expecting this really graphic death and something really gruesome, because what we got tonight was pretty graphic for me. And Jack Evans, maybe he just walks in on Ricky laughing with Rosa or something, or maybe they're committing another murder, and Jack's just like, fuck this shit, I'm out. And he just goes, and Johnny's just like, hey, where are you going? He's like, you know what, man? I signed up to be a part of a cool faction. I did not sign up for that. What's he talking about? And then they walk in on it, and it's just this big, awkward fucking thing. I think that'd be hilarious if Jack does get to live. He just saw too much. He just saw too much, and he's just scarred for life now. I doubt it, but that would be an interesting twist. So yeah, man, that's really all I have to say about it. Unless you have anything you want to add, we can move on.
Yeah, I don't really think I have anything else to add to this, so we can move on. And moving on is literally getting to the main event, because up next was Pentagon versus Cage, last man or machine standing, and this match was very, very violent. The first really notable moment for me was Pentagon trying to use a glass bottle on Cage, which we know from his initial vignettes and multiple instances throughout Lucha Underground history doesn't fucking work. So of course he eats it and then uses the shattered glass to tear Pentagon's flesh on his forehead.
Yeah, fucking sick spot. Pentagon's just oozing blood. The mask is half torn. It's a great visual of vulnerability, but you know what? Before I even go any further, are there any other spots you want to highlight from this match just that you enjoyed?
Honestly, really, most of the stuff Cage did was the stuff that I enjoyed. Like the apron plex was amazing. You know, he was the highlight of the match for me. And Pentagon, really, the big highlight for me as far as Pentagon goes was the Mexican Destroyer onto the table. So that's about all I've got. I'm curious more what you thought of the match.
I gotta be truthful, because I know you've been truthful about this season, and now just kind of my turn as it relates to Pentagon. It was a good match if you just look at it in a vacuum and you don't really afford any consideration to anything else. If you just look at it as a match, it was fine. In fact, damn fine. I was quite entertained by it. I am over Pentagon as champion because I think Lucha Underground, for me, has run into that problem where Pentagon is so OP that even that vulnerability that like aesthetically came off great, because again, you got the mask half torn, the blood's, you know, all over the face. It's a great visual, but it's one that that's very ephemeral. Like I buy into it for a moment, and then the next moment I remind myself it's Pentagon Dark. We know how this is going to go, and it really doesn't help. Like I get that it's a part of the character, that he loves violence and he loves brutality. So maybe this is more of a John issue, and I will readily admit that. But to me, like you push the OP-ness to the limit when you have him do the fear factor on the set of chairs. Then you have him do the double arm break. Then the curb stomp with the cinder block, which granted Cage introduced. But like you do all this, you probably could have just won with the fear factor. And instead you're just kind of rubbing in your face like, oh, see, Cage, I told you I'd break your arm, and you broke both of them. And I guess it doesn't help that I am a huge fan of Cage. I think he has, and still has, because he didn't fucking win, still has one of the best stories in Lucha Underground. That a guy like this, every fucking time, fails to win the title. And, like, he's done practically everything there is to do in my mind. I'll be very curious if he ever even does win the championship at this point, because now I'm starting to have doubts, which could be a really good thing, because then when he does it, holy fuck the mark out when we're there for it. But Pentagon, to me, it's like, and I even said it on live reactions, the only reason that you're probably going to get these really excitable, electric, energetic reactions from me for Pentagon's match with Mundo in 2 weeks is because it's Mundo. Like, even though he's already climbed the mountaintop, we have the mark out of a lifetime video up on the channel. I'm still very proud of that. I waited for that for damn near 10 years. He has this ability, like Ishii in New Japan, right, to suck me into his matches. But I feel like that's kind of the last bullet in the chamber. And then beyond that, well, I guess Marty the Moth as well. But I'm always going to have in the back of my mind, like, it's Pentagon. He's going to be OP. And even when they beat him, I wonder if it's going to be one of those, like, decisive victories or one of those, oh, it was a fluke, or however they're going to handle it. I'm not saying they've booked themselves into a corner. I think that would be insulting for all the goodwill and trust that Lucha Underground has earned for me over 4 seasons. Right. But just to kind of put it succinctly, Ashton, I am just finding this title reign to be very taxing at this point. Because tonight, honestly, dude, I wish I could have eye-rolled like Famous B did with just that finish. I really didn't care for it. So I want, because you're more level-headed than me, I think, on a lot of this kind of stuff. Do you think I'm out of line here? Are you the same way with Pentagon? How are you feeling about all of it?
You know, I think you're a little bit more what's the word I'm looking for here? Cynical about Pentagon than I am. I'm not any more of a fan of his than you are, but I think just kind of allow myself to get invested in his matches, even if I know that there's a very small chance that whoever he's going against is actually going to beat him, just because I just don't think about it and I just kind of turn my brain off and let it happen. I think that's really kind of what it comes down to. So, I mean, as far as like, do I get as sort of, oh, of course, this is going to be him, he's going to win, that kind of thing, as you? Probably not, honestly. But I definitely see where you're coming from, that being said.
And I see where you're coming from as well. In fact, I'm actually, 100% sincerely, like, happy for you that, you're able to kind of, like, turn your brain, because that's, like, what wrestling's supposed to do. And I'm trying to, like, turn my brain off even with stuff like this, because I don't want to be, critical. I feel like, WWE's product a lot of the time, that brings that side out of me enough. I mean, God, this Raw was dreadful. And this Lucha Underground was a million times better than the Raw we got this week, which I think you could say practically every week. But I just look at Pentagon as champion, and it's like, again, I get it. He's so over. He's their guy. I understand it. It's just, I wish, and again, maybe it is a John problem, because Cage, he beat his ass. It wasn't easy to beat Cage. And to be fair, you can't say they didn't protect him, because maybe that's why the finish was excessive. Like, we really got to make it seem like it took Pentagon everything to beat Cage, breaking both arms, curb stomping with the cinder block, all that. It's just, to me, like, it achieves that effect, yes, but I'm also just like, God, who the fuck is going to beat this guy? Because he's supposed, well, I guess he's not even supposed to be the face. He is more like that anti-hero, but I'm just like, who's going to step up and knock him off the perch? I'd love it to be Mundo or Marty or whatever. It might be one of those guys. It could also be Azteca. That's another thing, too. I guess this does create intrigue. I know we've been saying, like, the big match does seem like Pentagon Dark versus Jake Strong. I'm starting to wonder if they really are going to let Azteca go on this winning streak and make it all the way to Ultimate Lucha Cuatro. So it's this man that's on this white-hot winning streak versus the guy that just decimates people and just utterly annihilates them in Pentagon Dark. That could be a very interesting story. And yeah, I guess it's really what I've got to start looking at is more the stories that Pentagon is a part of rather than the overpoweredness that he demonstrates in his matches, because that's only one aspect of the whole thing. But yeah, again, fine matchup. Just kind of had to eye roll at some of the Pentagon Dark stuff tonight. And that's really all I've got to say about the main event. So unless there's anything you want to say more than what we've already said, we can move on.
All right, man. Well, that's actually it for the night. We closed out on Pentagon winning, so I'm going to let you take us into our next segment.
All right. Our next segment is high spots and low shots. But before that, I just want to give a quick rundown of everything. Guys, first and foremost, our all Lucha Underground content ever playlist is in the description box. So if you're new here, first of all, welcome to your new favorite wrestling podcast. And if you're new to Lucha Underground, welcome to the greatest wrestling show on the planet. You can catch up on the entire Lucha Underground lore, the luchadors and luchadoras, everything you can think of through TWitWoW, because we've done everything. We've done luchador spotlights. We've done live reactions. We've done reviews. We've done rewatches, so pretty much reviewing twice just to go over everything with a fine-tooth comb to see if we missed anything. Everything is right there in the playlist. Check it out. Also, guys, while we're plugging media, follow both Ashton and myself on Twitter. Ashton's pinned tweet is the TWitWoW schedule. You're going to want to check in on that, well, really every week, just to see what the rundown of our week is. This was an insane summer for us as we're now starting to transition into the fall. We just got through G1 and SummerSlam, so now things are in a bit of a cool down period. But even tomorrow, we've got one of my favorite commentaries that we do, and I got to make my list, the 5 Fave 5. So you're going to want to make sure, to be there for that. And we're going live with that, what, Ashton, at 8 p.m. or earlier than that? Is it 8? Probably 8. But yeah, you can find that out, guys.
I'm sorry, did you say 5 Fave 5s?
Yeah.
That's not at 8, brother. That's an afternoon recording. That's at 4.
Oh, that's at 4. See, and I was even going to say I was gonna show you by going to Ashton's pinned tweet, and you can see it for yourself. And yeah, I'm seeing it right here. Thursday, August 23rd at 4 p.m. EDT, 5 Fave 5, number 5. Wow, talk about 5 time, huh? So yeah, pinned tweet. I even used it, and I'm the freaking co-host of this goddamn thing. So you're gonna want to keep your finger on the pulse of all Lucha Underground content. Ashton's pinned tweet is the way to go. My pinned tweet, on the other hand, is to collect Q&A questions. Now, Q&A isn't going to be this week. It's going to be next week, August 30th, the last Thursday of the month. So you've got a little bit of time left to get your questions in. Do not waste it. You can submit your questions either by replying to my pinned tweet, which is the most common way, DMing me, commenting on or inboxing the TWitWoW Facebook page, which if you visit the TWitWoW Facebook page, please leave a like, commenting on this video even when it's done processing, or submitting questions through Discord, which I will get to in a second. Everybody's permitted up to 4 questions per Q&A, and you can divide those questions up however you like. So please, again, folks, get those questions in. Please visit the TWitWoW Teespring store. We have all sorts of merchandise, from TWitWoW specific merch, like I'm a TWitWoW guy or I'm a TWitWoW girl, because we're all about that gender equality, to superstar specific merch like Kevin Owens, because he's a father, damn it. God, I miss those days of being that enthusiastic about Kevin Owens. Or Braun Strowman, I'm not finished with you, which he's certainly saying about the Shield as of late. So guys, check out the Teespring store. A lot of great offerings there. And finally, the Patreon. Now, guys, we've shifted things up on the Patreon. This has been the case for the last few weeks now. We are no longer, for the time being, doing Progress Live reactions. Our new goal is SmackDown Live or 205 Live or both live reactions. Now, the way we do that, here's how it's broken down. For 205 live reactions only, it's $40 or more, but the cutoff is $80, because starting at $80 or more is SmackDown live reactions. But if you want both, because you're like, man, you know, as much as I love seeing TWitWoW talk about Randy Orton digging his finger into Jeff Hardy's ear and just yanking at it until it's almost ripped off, I really want to hear them talk about the man of the hour, Lio Rush. Well, then the goal is 120, 40, 80, 120. You get us to 120, the same goal that Progress was. We will do both 205 Live and SmackDown Live in a bundle for the month. We've got one more week of doing both 205 Live and SmackDown Live. After that, we're going to have to see what September brings, whether that continues or we do one or the other or even neither. You know, anything can happen. So if you want to ensure that you get that quality content, if you want to ensure that we cover people like Lio Rush, Hideo Itami, Cedric Alexander, Drew Gulak, as well as the SmackDown roster, the best thing you can do is donate to the Patreon. That's at an evaluation of only $3 a month for Discord access. The TWitWoW Discord, a great community of the most passionate TWitWoW fans. We talk about everything from wrestling to Game of Thrones. It all happens in the TWitWoW Discord. And with that $3, you not only get that membership, you help us with our projects, as I said, SmackDown Live, 205 live reactions, and probably the best part, if you're thinking this needs more me, you get content control, because if you're in the Discord for X amount of time, the formula I always use is, for example, if you're in there 10 months, $3 a month comes out to $30. You can cash that in for a live reaction to a 3-hour show, what we call Patreon requests. We've done past Patreon requests on the channel. If you want to look one up, kind of get your finger on the pulse of how we do those. We've done a lot of great shows. Our fans are amazing and very creative with their requests, and I like to think we have a lot of fun with them. I think still to this day, my favorite Patreon request would be Survivor Series 2002, the very first Elimination Chamber match, because we also got to talk about Randy Orton's shoulder, which spawned a gag that would last quite a while with TWitWoW superfan Cliff 'em all. So, yeah, that's the kind of fun you guys can expect with Patreon requests. So get in on it, donate, help Team TWitWoW. It's always greatly appreciated, and we just thank you guys for it. You guys are awesome. So with that said, enough with the plugging. Time for the deciding about who is the high spot and the low shot of this week's Lucha Underground. So my low shot is going to be just very straightforward. Cage. He lost the Lucha Underground Championship. He's still vying for it, and now he's going to have to vie for it with no arms because both of them got broken. I'm incredibly disheartened about it. I still love Cage to death. He's not a man. He's a machine. But he's also, unfortunately, my low shot tonight. Ashton, who is your low shot?
I think... Oh, man, this is tough. You said yours was Cage, right?
That is correct.
I guess I'll take the easy way out then, and I'll just go with the Mac because he got kind of fucked up in tonight's episode with literally. We didn't even mention this, but Mill literally used a fucking blade. Like, it wasn't quite a machete, but it was a hell of a lot bigger than a knife.
Exactly. Yeah, that was sick as hell, and he licked it. He tasted Mac's blood, folks. That's how fucked up this got.
Ew.
You can say that again, friend.
I won't, though.
I know. As far as high spot goes, you know what? No, because I'm in the freaking mood. I'm going to give it to Johnny Mundo because he's finally getting his rematch in 2 weeks. So not only does he get time to adequately prepare for Pentagon Dark in between, getting married, that is, to the perfect woman, but, he's just finally getting the one-on-one rematch that he has always deserved. So Johnny Mundo, the mayor of Slamtown, is my high spot. Ashton, who's your high spot?
Oh, man. I mean, I'm kind of hard pressed, so I guess I'm just going to kind of stick with the match that I have my low shot for and give it to Mil Muertes.
There you go.
Got his pound of flesh. He got the Mac monkey off his back. I guess that's a really horrible way of putting that. But, he got the monkey off his back, got the chip off his shoulder, whatever the hell you want to say. He eclipsed the issue that was bugging him. So, yeah, it's Mil Muertes is my high spot because he is, honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if he set his sights on the Lucha Underground Championship from here on out.
Oh, absolutely. I love that both of our faves were our high spots this week. This just feels like the proper way to end a Lucha Underground.
But, John, what's going to happen if they have a collision course now because they both want the world title?
A match of the year candidate. That's fucking what happens.
Have we ever seen that match? I just realized I don't think we have.
I don't think we've ever seen them one-on-one, no.
Wow.
So
well,
now you see that
please.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, man. Well, yeah, that's all I've got.
All right, well, with that said, guys, this has been Lucha Underground. This has been TWitWoW, the best.
Woo!
Woo, daddy! Wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm styling, profiling, and John, that's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. Guys, I already did the plug, so I'm going to let you know what to do now is comment on this video when it's done processing. How do you think Johnny Mundo is going to fare in 2 weeks? And ultimately, who do you think will be the one to take the Lucha Underground Championship off of Pentagon Dark? Who do you think Rosa and Ricky's next victim is going to be? Is it going to be Jack Evans? Is it going to be PJ in a swerve? Is Taya going to get her hands on Rosa before then? We're going to see that cinematic play out. What about Jake Strong? Thoughts on Jake Strong so far? Are you like me where you're meh? Do you think the character being more contextualized will kind of help that? Does it not matter because to you he'll always suck? Let us know in the comments. Talk to us. Be sure to like the video. The more likes you leave, the more likely we are to be the top search result for Lucha Underground reviews on YouTube. And when you're the best at what you do, the top is the only place that you belong. So please leave that like. Subscribe to your new wrestling podcast if you haven't already. And for all you diehard TWitWoW fans that I know some of you go, man, I really didn't want to miss this. Damn it, I wanted to be here. I'm now starting to say to click the bell icon for notifications so that you never miss when TWitWoW goes live with a commentary, live reaction, or what have you.
And you know what? Also, since YouTube is kind of a bitch about making sure you guys get notifications on time, just follow us on Twitter and set that to give you notifications too, because that's
exactly. Yeah, I will reiterate again, especially Ashton's pinned tweet with the TWitWoW schedule. If nothing else, always check in on that schedule at least once a week to see.
No, like, did you know that you could actually set individual Twitter accounts to give you notifications whenever they tweet?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, like if you go to someone's profile, you can, like, you know how like there's always like the little 3 dots on the far right next to where you can follow them. You can actually set it to give you notifications.
Well, butter my ass and call me impressed. Isn't technology amazing, folks? So yeah, just set that notification whenever we go live, even through Twitter. Just make sure you never miss any of that TWitWoW goodness. And until then, guys, we'll see you again for 5 Fave 5s, number 5, going live tomorrow at 4 p.m. EDT. Thank goodness it wasn't at 5. That would be too many 5s to handle. And
oh, that's tempting. I should move it back an hour. That'd be amazing.
Right, though. But yeah, guys, in the meantime, me and Ashton are just going to chill with some NXT, which we won't be covering, but I'm going to be salivating over that Zach Gibbs and Pete Dunne rematch goodness. I've been trying to avoid spoilers as best I can.
Honestly, as good as that match is going to be, I'm more looking forward to Bianca. I believe Bianca had a match. It's like her big return match. But I forget who it was against. I think it was against Deonna, actually.
Oh, yeah, I heard the same thing, Ashton. Yeah, that should be interesting. But as far as you guys go, again, we will see you again for 585s. That's tomorrow at 4 p.m. EDT. So until then, tune in and peace out.